Law, I wanted to pick up where I left off. Excuse me. And just kind of make a quick video. Somebody asked me in the comments on the last video, like, so what do we do? Like, I thought I made in the last 300 some odd videos it clear, like, what we can do. Everybody, or what, there's so many things that are doing this. Okay, let me layer it out. First of all, don't fucking do anything. Second of all, do everything. It's all of it. And it's all internal and external. Everybody is going to change and evolve on their own and expand on their own. Everybody is going to make their own decisions. You're either going to do something that is worth something, or do something that is worth something to something else, to some kind of entity. There's an essence there that the ancient people were tapped into, that people who follow nature and their intuition and their spirit and their intimate guidance with the collective intelligence outside of the destructive intelligence that is designed to separate. There's people who are connected to that space that that's like the true doingness, and the people who are ultimately connected to that space really don't do anything. They just are that space. That's it. So there's those perspectives, and then there's people who want to get involved in all this other stuff. I mean, it's your choice. It's like the same, like in the last few videos I shared when I was involved in the Occupy movement. I thought I was doing something, like, you're doing this, and then you realize that the story is bigger than that, and then you realize that the story is bigger than that next step, because after the Occupy movement, I went into understanding, asking questions about myself. It's like, so what is your spirit? Like, what are you fighting for? What energy is this? Are you just gonna protest the rest of your life? Are you gonna find these answers on your own? And basically, it was just sitting down and asking myself, okay, well, who are you? Like, what is this spirit? What is spirit? Is there a God? Is there this? Is there that? And I started there, and then the rest is history. And then you just catch a groove on your own just by following those steps that you don't know are there, because you haven't challenged yourself to expand out of that space yet. Because we get stuck in these boxes that get prepositioned for us. We get stuck in the world that is meant to distract us, and stuck in the world that is another version of separation, because either we get comfortable, either we're ignorant, either we have responsibilities that we have to take care of that take precedence over other storylines, and then we stick to that, and each individual is okay for making that decision. It's fine. It's all right. What I have a problem with is when people, individuals and groups of individuals like this top brass in the so-called flat earth community come around and start talking about, oh, we discovered this, and this is it, and we're gonna go into the mainstream media and start talking about the flat earth. So-called top brass saying that just because you have subscribers and all this whatever on YouTube, talking about whatever about in reference to the flat earth, is no different than Christopher Columbus coming to the Americas and saying he discovered America. It's the same shit. That is the shallowest fucking storyline you could ever imagine. And YouTube is the new ocean. YouTube is the new barrier that people have crossed to share some truth. It's all bullshit. It's a distraction. There are so many storylines that go way deeper than the Columbian era, way down into our genetic codes, into our soul. There are so many different outlets people can take into seeing what's going on here, and everybody's perspective matters. What I'm saying is that when you group up and you say this is what it's all about. This is this flat earth. We gotta talk to NASA. We gotta get politics. We gotta get the money out of politics, like, and then like the politicians, the actors and actresses joining up with the politicians. That's actual energy. People are vesting their entire life force into that energy. It's not allowing people to expand on their own and research themselves and make their ultimate connections with themselves. All this stuff still exists inside a box. The indigenous people were not connected within the reactionary emotional plane of giving your power away to a control grid. That's what all this, let's just protest NASA, let's just talk to the mainstream media. You are limiting people by getting people stuck in that space. I've already gone through that by understanding the protest limitations, the separation grid, the way that's triggered. That shit is checkers. This shit ain't checkers. This is chess for your soul. It is an enslavement of the soul. And since I say this, and since I've understood this for myself, and I have the ability to actually put the words together to just share it with people, then I'm going to share that just as easily as somebody else shares whatever perspectives they have about flat earth, the Mandela effect, transhuman, whatever it is. Everybody is sharing it individually. So if I have the other ability to call bullshit on some bullshit, I'm going to say it. I'm going to call that bullshit. I don't give a shit. Especially if you're in your artificial ego calling yourself some top brass. What the fuck is that? What does that even mean? Top brass. Do you even know what that means? Have any of you even been in the fucking military to know what that means? Top brass. And then say you're not a leader. Give me the fucking break. It's ridiculous. This so-called flat earth, whatever it is, it's not just about that. Break it down just to the words. First of all, personally, I don't definitely don't call myself a flat earther. I am researching information that has brought up the realizations that NASA is full of shit, the government is full of shit. All these pictures of a spherical Earth are totally fabricated and bullshit, lies. So there's a reality that exists out there that is totally fabricated. It's total BS. So how I see it is that from my own eyes and my own perspectives, which is limited because we can only see so far, we can only research so much, it seems to be definitely not a sphere. And the flat perspective seems to make more sense than anything else to me right now. I don't call myself a flat earther. That's just another box that... See, people get these labels because they need to be comfortable. They need to be teamed up with some people in this community or whatever it is. It's bullshit. We need more time. We need more information. We need more connections in order to truly understand this stuff. When you get caught up in somebody else's boxes, then you get caught up in somebody else's limitations. And you, in a sense, give your life away, your power, your movement, your expansion away to an idea. This is what this Obama and Hope campaign was. All of it. Each individual has the ability to be their own top brass, to be their own expansion. They have their own space there. If you are already in your box, and then you have the gall to now call yourself a leader within that box, I'm gonna call all the bullshit, all of that shit out. Because there are so many other storylines that are bigger than those limitations that you're pushing with this little celebrity grid of the flat earth community. Christopher Columbus, that is the max out that you guys get in the so-called flat earth community. That's what you guys are. Christopher Columbus. It's total bullshit. You're not looking at the entire stories that are actually holding more weight than the little perspectives that you focus on, or your the people that go on your show focus on. It's like talking about only the icing on the cake and then saying, oh, that's it. And then when people cut into that cake and eat that cake, and that cake is, they don't understand it, then they'll choke on it. Because why? Because they thought that world was only about the icing. It is deeper than that. It's more than that. When people start really understanding the entire cake of themselves, then we can start understanding how that whole thing mixes together. Anybody can open up a can of icing and start studying the icing and saying that's it. That's not it. Just covering a box with icing. That's all it is. A cardboard box, empty, with icing. When people can be making their own cakes, and then everybody can be eating. But no, you just want to eat. That's just for you when you get comfortable. And I understand people are on their journey, but this is why I'm not saying this for everybody. I'm not saying for everybody to do whatever, anything. I'm speaking directly to these so-called leaders and top brass who have a very specific agenda of what they would like to do, or what the information is when it comes out. This Mark Sargent dude talking about, oh yeah, I'm watching analytics and all this, so when the numbers come out, I'm gonna do a television show and talk about all this other stuff. That is some agent ass perspectives. Slow your damn roll for a moment. Realize what's going on here. Please. For a moment. Step back and see all the other storylines that are connected to the earth itself, the human story itself. See all of the garbage that has been connected to the globe model, the university system, the transhumanism agenda, the colonial program, the military industrial complex, the prison industrial complex, the so-called white supremacy program, the eugenics program. All this stuff, all this conspiracy stuff that you individuals, you individuals know of and speak of. But just act like it's secondary. This shit is not secondary. The majority of people are not allowed to venture out in their own power because they believe that their power grid is based upon, that their experience is only based upon what the system puts out. The mainstream media, the politics, the university system, those three legs are, those tentacles are largely manipulating the entire human consciousness. And they're filtering and anchoring their energy through individuals like Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. which is just they're just the puppets for the mainstream media to make people believe that their leaders, these are the top brass. These are the top brass of that artificial world, the mainstream world. You call yourselves top brass of the flat earth community. Here are the top brass of that artificial world. The same limitations that these individuals are putting out is the same thing that you are doing in this so-called flat earth community. It is hoarding energy, filtering energy, because you are limiting other individuals by just saying that you're a leader and all this other stuff. It's the same thing. Not only that, but you yourself want to be a part of that system, that news, that mainstream media, because you're so caught up in their system, their games, their perspectives, their numbers, their version of reality, so distant from your own and other people's history and versions of reality, so thirsty for attention, so thirsty for the grid itself to take something that you've vested your life into, so thirsty for that you're willing to jump on the bandwagon of the control grid to amp up some numbers. I don't buy it. I call bullshit on that. That is a setup. You are setting people up. And it's gone so far beyond suspicion. It's into, no, that's full of shit. That's some garbage. And you are steering people into another control grid. This is why I made the last video and the last few videos, or the videos before now, talking about, in reference to these so-called top brass or whoever. It's another limitation program. These individuals, these politicians are playing with people's lives. People are dying. They sign one piece of paper, thousands of soldiers show up somewhere, thousands of drones show up somewhere, and people die. Every day this is happening. Every day this happens. This is a game for them. And the way you approach top brass, the way you approach this information and so-called truth is no different than the way the politicians of the mainstream media approach that blood on the streets. It's destructive. And it's every day. And you have the potential, you have the ability to expand your consciousness, to expand your perspectives, and not only yours, but of tens of thousands of people. If only you were to ask a few questions outside of the box, maybe make yourself a little uncomfortable, maybe make yourself a little vulnerable every now and again, to talk about some things that might be directly related to something that internally you've just been running away from. Where do you come from? Who are you? Who are your people? Are you in this, oh, we're all human? We're just all one? Is that what it is? Are you a part of the artificial new age, which is just this whole New World Agenda? Is that what's behind the scene? Is that why we're so distracted by the world of flat earth science and the horizon talk and all this NASA stuff? Is that's why? It's to keep people dumbed down so that when all the unicorn farts and all the mermaids and fairies start flying in the sky and the aliens come out of the sky, that everything is just going to be okay, because now we're just going to be dancing like the end of a Star Wars movie on the flat earth? Is that what your program, is that the program that you're hoping to sell? Say something, because your truth is not truth at all if it's exists inside of a box. This shit is a game to these people. It's funny. They joke around and then they play the victim card like, oh, I didn't know. Come on. You got, it's just like I said in a video a ways back. I was walking down the street in a parking lot. I came into a Berkeley Bowl parking lot. This is a supermarket, and this lady was just waiting on a parking spot. Another lady pulled up on the opposite side and waiting for the lady to pull out. This lady who pulled up second pulled right into that spot after the lady pulled out, right in front of this lady, got out of her car. The other lady who had been waiting there before her was like, what the fuck? Gave her that look like, what the fuck? And the lady just waved her down, smiled, oh, it's okay, and walked in the store. Literally killing people with kindness. That's the victimization program, and that killing with kindness is an actual program. This is what Columbus did when he came to the Americas and said, you guys are savages. How about you believe in this God? How about you live your life this way? That is killing you with kindness. And people don't see that is actually what's going on right here. This is what the politicians are doing. They get up there in front of the television and just lie to your face and say, we're going to protect you. We're going to be your saviors. We're going to go to war. We're going to make America great again. We're going to do all this stuff. Flat Earth top brass is equivalent to Trump talking about make America great again. We're going to make the flat earth great again. When you are talking about going into the making flat earth popular, going to the pop mainstream and all that stuff, you are saying make flat earth great again. Signed Christopher Columbus. That's the same shit. It's no different. This is psychological program. This Ellen shit. How many fucking people have to go through, how many approval processes have to go through before this show puts anything on the television? Anything that comes out of these celebrities has been filtered through probably hundreds of people, and if not directly forced upon them from higher actual top brass in that system, telling them you will put this picture on your show, on your Twitter, on your whatever. You will do this. Giving them the highest benefit of the doubt. You will put this on. And then they just have to do it because they're slaves to the system too. Psychological and consciously, subconsciously and consciously, these memories get triggered. These storylines get triggered. And she's like, oh, I am highly aware of racism that exists in our country. It is the furthest thing from who I am. I would never. Really? You really think, you really want us to think that you're that stupid? That you're that ignorant? That you wouldn't know that people would think about this if you put that stupid ass picture up there? Millions and millions of people looking up to you. It's people still believing this shit, like believing these people. Believing in Ellen DeGeneres and the Young Turks perspectives, Rosario Dawson, the celebrities and all that shit, that ain't no different than believing in Hillary and Donald Trump and even Bernie Sanders. It's the same shit. That is a destructive infinity. You will be caught up in sick and disease forever. They make the policies. This is why all these politicians are all lawyers. They make the policies to get the system to maintain itself. So that system will stay the same. This is no different. What was happening back in the day, and those pictures there on the right, they're no different than what's going on today. Zero difference. It's only in color now. And people have only been desensitized so much that they just think it's okay now. This is about desensitizing you so you can believe whatever killing you with kindness storyline comes out. And then the people who are enslaving you and killing you and slaughtering your brothers and sisters, they actually maintain that they are the victims. Meanwhile, they're actually slaughtering people all over the world on a daily basis. Daily. This is why I say this so much. There's no time to waste. You have separated yourself, top brass. You have separated yourself. If you don't feel a sense of urgency to speak on these issues, every day these kids are dying. Kids are being starved to death. Kids are not having water every day. And some of you individuals in that top brass circle want to be a part of that system when it wants to expand itself into the world that you so-called discovered. Give me a break. You are part of that problem. You are part of that program if that's what you want to do. And you've already voiced that as your world, so I will start to address it as such. Other people have already been calling you on your bullshit. I'm only giving the benefit of the doubt because some people just don't know. Some people are just not knowing how deep this story goes and how deep they're into it. Internally, I'm really like, you know what, you're full of shit and you are a part of this fucking agenda. But on these videos, I'm gonna put out there, like, I'm getting to that point to where I'm getting more vocal about you guys are fucking full of shit. Even more so every day. Part of the problem. And after this video, knowing and actually hear the words from another person saying every day these kids are dying. You don't have to go all the way across to the other side of the earth plane. You can go right down the street. You can drive down in West Oakland. You can go see that shit. The other side is we do this shit to ourselves. These so-called celebrities that are out here, this is psychological programming. Top brass, you guys are psychologically programmed to programming people to stay inside of a box. These celebrities, Beyonce, Rihanna, Drake, all these emasculization of the males are turning men into women and women into men, beating down the divine feminine, focusing only on the physical reality, focusing only on titties and ass, making these young girls think that they gotta only have an ass and have breasts to be having attention. Lauryn Hill and Aaliyah and all the old school women, There was a layer of respect for themselves that is so far beyond what is now normal today. We have been desensitized, separated from that which is of any kind of essence, and totally bought into the system. Buying into the corporate program. And people celebrate this shit. Singing and dancing, doing all this shit. Now, I'm not saying don't celebrate your physical beauty. That's obvious. What I'm saying is that this ain't that. This is not that. This is a mind control. This is setting up little girls, little boys to think certain ways so that when they become adults, they act certain ways. I don't want my kids watching this shit. I don't want my kids growing up to be a part of this shit. This shit is normal. This shit is fucking normal. This is so far from natural. People still believe in these people. It's ridiculous. It's not just one version of the story. It's how everybody is a part of this story. These are boxes. Destroying of the divine masculine and divine feminine on a regular basis. Constantly separated from the reality. This shit right here. This is a joke for this individual. This is how ignorant this individual is of himself and his history and the story and just the connection to humanity as a whole. But this is normal. Not just for this individual. Just as easily as Ellen can put this shit on her Twitter and say, I'm highly aware of racism that exists in our country. It's the furthest thing from who I am. I would never mean that. Is the same shit that's going on here. Owner says it's not intended to be racist. Desensitized. Ignorant. And the news just puts it out there. They just put it on the news. How many other storylines are so newsworthy? How many other stories are so newsworthy that just get overlooked? Never get spoken about. This is a program. And you so-called top brass want to be a part of that program. That's some agent shit. And you're already doing it. You're already doing it on a regular basis. Oh, let's just talk about how did you come about flat earth? How did you become Christopher Columbus? Same shit. Every angle. From the air that we breathe, to the water you drink, to the food that you eat, is part of this control grid, this desensitization program, this destructive intelligence grid. It's only going to come from the people. The actual truth, the actual change is going to come from people directly connecting with their own spirit from the inside out. Not from the outside in. All these flat earth stories and all this science and horizon shit and all this, oh, you look, we shot this laser and we done it. That's all outside shit. It's generic understandings of something that is truly internal, truly at the soul level. And your generic, basic ass perspectives are holding people in a little cubby hole of self-destructive, if not right now, eventually outwardly self-destructive illusion. Because they are limiting themselves to whatever it is. Now, people who are on their own space, I'm not saying everybody. I'm speaking to the people who are very, the innocent ones who just like people really believe in the mainstream media, really believe in politics. Like, they really believe these people. Like, they really trust these people to, like, save their planet or save them or protect them or provide them with their human resources. They really believe. They are actually innocent because they really believe. But if they just had a little bit of information that would help them look more internally to their own power, then they wouldn't be giving their power away to external individuals or external power grids or external boxes. Because people are so innocent and so trapped in a tiny box that they'll be okay to jump outside of a tiny box into a bigger box. In fact, they'll be able to think that they'll be thinking they can actually breathe now because they're in another box. I used to do that. I did that when I jumped out of the Occupy movement and went into the New Age. I felt like I could actually breathe. I was like, oh man, this is great. You know, I'm starting to take care of my body. I'm starting to like loosen up and let go of a lot of things and see a lot of perspectives that weren't there before, and reconnect with spirit and tap into stuff like crystal energies and all this other stuff. And then once you reach the edges of that box and you can start to feel the outside area, then you can be like, whoa, wait a second. This is there's something more here. When you have tens of thousands of people following you and you're just saying, no, this is it. This is it. This is what it's going to be about. This is when the flat earth meets the mainstream. Oh man, it's going to be amazing. And amazing inside that mainstream box. When people first came into the flat earth information, it was like, this is amazing. Oh my goodness. That's still in a box. And the only reason why you are so-called top brass is because you started to celebrate that box. You exist in a box. And the longer you stay in that box, you start to get rotten. Mildew, mold starts to appear in that box. Because it's time to expand outside of that box and see what else there is. Y'all talking some moldy ass potatoes in a moldy ass box. There's mildew all over the place. And people are getting sick. They can't breathe in that box. Might seem like they can breathe. Might be breathing better than they were before. But when you do the same things that the mainstream is doing, which is share information, then you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility. This is how I see. This is what I'm saying right now. This is how I feel, that you have a responsibility to humanity. The mainstream media's responsibility to humanity is to have it implode on itself. It's to have it destroy itself. That is the responsibility of the mainstream media and the politicians, the gold model, the transhumanism, to steer the conversation into another layer of control, another form, another system that will expand the old systems that go all the way down to the actual police walking down around the streets, could go all the way down to the lowest ranking soldier that's all the way out in Afghanistan and Iraq and everywhere else, on military bases all over the place that don't even need to be. Every little piece of energy that gets put out on every single news story, on every single channel, talking about what it don't matter if it's alternative, saying it's alternative news or not. That's part of the program too. The Young Turks is out there to make you still believe in stuff like CNN and just say Fox News is the bad guy. And then Alex Jones is out there to make you believe in the old American civil rights time or Civil War time frame, Americana illusion. Take the Second Amendment, America, and everybody else is a lie. It's like the corporations and the globalists. And then the mainstream is out there to send the globalist agenda. And that actually makes sense as far as like why these individuals been talking about all this global stuff. They don't talk about Earth anymore. It's because when this new age, new world order agenda starts to come out and they start to use these words like Earth, flat Earth, or just regular Earth, and the world instead of globe, then it'll feel like some kind of change. And the globalists will be like the patsies for the old system, when in fact they've just changed their name to the new system. As long as you vest your energy in them, then that's all they need. You keep giving your power away to these individuals who don't give one shit about you, then that's the road you're choosing. That's the box you choose to be in. And that's okay. That's okay, because you will eventually grow and expand yourself outside of that box. Or maybe not. Maybe not. But that's your journey. That's your choice. But if I have the ability to share information about individuals who are selling people boxes and other individuals who are selling a lot of boxes, and that they themselves can actually expand outside of those boxes, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to share. I'm going to share that information to help people. People are going to do whatever it is that they're going to do. It's no different than like when I was in the army. You had good leaders and then you have bad leaders. Or just, for example, like sergeants. Like you had like a sergeant, a staff sergeant, a sergeant first class. You knew when they were full of shit. You knew when some people just didn't have their shit together. And and it wasn't them that was, taking, sweating more and, bleeding because of whatever. It was their soldiers. It was their people who were taking the hit because their egos are too big. And they just couldn't they couldn't be vulnerable, or they couldn't, link up with somebody else to think of a better way to do this. They just made those soldiers do what it was that they said to do because that was the only thing that they knew. And largely, especially in the military like that, it's largely like that because it's based upon the ego. It's based upon the artificial ego. That's what rank is. You do these little things, you make your rank, you wait for these numbers, you do this whole thing, what's required, and then you make it up the ranks. That's a basic ass way to exist. And you call yourself top brass out here. That's what you're doing. You're creating that mentality. You're actually living that experience. And you are a shitty fucking leader. If you're calling yourself a leader, you're a fucking garbage. Straight up garbage. And other people who are still connected to that actual essence of expansion will call you on your shit. Not for you, but for the people who are following your bullshit off a fucking cliff. Because you will not expand. Whether it's because either you are paid or just a part of that system, as some people are saying, or maybe you're just ignorant. Maybe you just don't. Maybe you're just scared. That's largely a lot what it is. People that are scared to be vulnerable, to look into yourself. Who are you? What is your body? What is your culture? What is your history? You want to go to the roots of just like NASA and all this other stuff. That ain't everything. Who are you? What are we really talking about here? You're talking about the earth, you're talking about nature. You're talking about earth, you're talking about humanity. You're talking about origins. You're talking about roots. You're talking about blood. You're talking about genetics. You're talking about culture. You're talking about magic. You're talking about alchemy. You're talking about actual science. Actual spirit. Outside of religion, outside of all the man-made shit. The actual spirit, the actual connections. That spark of intuition or that spark of something higher that comes into people. What is that? Individuals in the so-called flat earth community talk about, oh, this, you can see a creator, intelligence. And I said this in the last video. No, don't nobody want to talk about that shit. Don't nobody want to say anything. They want to act like it's secondary. Because you're comfortable with the body being first. And I understand people have to go through this process. I understand that. You go, in order to get there, you have to go through the body to the mind to the soul and understand that it comes from the spirit to the soul to the mind to the body. I understand that. But when you get off of that train and jump inside of a box and start celebrating the body, which is this so-called flat earth and all this other stuff, top brass shit, and then tell other people, oh yeah, when it jumps in the mainstream, then that's when we did it. That's what it's going to be about. That's where I have a problem. Because it's more than that. And you are actually an extension of the problem that is added up to why people are dying every day today. You can speak on this stuff. These are individuals. That's why I said this is chess. This ain't checkers. The Family Guy, Simpsons, all these cartoons, these programs, they are coming for your kids. There have to be people who are vocal about the advancement of knowledge over faith. He's talking about the university system knowledge, scientism, Neil deGrasse Tyson, over spirit. When you boil it down, when you boil this quote from Seth MacFarlane, from the fucking Family Guy and all that others, all the other movies and stuff he's been a part of, and all the people that are connected to that grid with which you, Mark Sargent, are hoping to be a part of when Flat Earth goes mainstream. This is magic. Chess. 3 layers of chess. Body, mind, and soul. Chess. And people are stuck thinking that it's checkers. Oh, red and black. Flat Earth and the globe model. No, this shit is not checkers. This shit is chess. For your soul. And you are setting people up to go right, to get checked. They'll just be checked. And when people get checked, then they just get sucked into whatever. They get assimilated into that system. These individuals are out there telling you that they're doing good things, that you actually believe in them. these celebrities, using this word magic to make you believe. You pinning just like science and religion goes at it, talking about evolution theory versus creationism, and then that's it. You think that's it? And they only use like one individual to explain some kind of creation perspective, and one individual to explain or debate the intellectual, reasonable perspective of scientists. Never going into the indigenous people, never going into those mythologies and those actual writings that have been destroyed and still hidden in the underneath the British Museum. That's a movie. If you ain't talking about that stuff, you're talking about a movie. Just like the flat earth, they ain't talking about that stuff. You're just talking about another movie. A bad movie. A cartoon. Every day, this program goes on and on and on. Best believe every day, this system expands on itself. It through subconscious programming, subliminal programming, the cartoons, the television shows, the politics, the alternative news, the scientism community, the transhumanism agenda, the New Age agenda, the New World Order agenda. All of these programs are expanding every day. Every day you don't say anything or don't expand or don't challenge yourself to look at this stuff, then you are not making the best of your moments. You're not making the best of your time. And while you're doing that, people are dying. And if you start celebrating and saying, oh, everything is okay, then that's where I have a problem with it. If you have tens of thousands of followers of that, down to the individual, everybody's going to make their own decision. That I keep saying that because people keep having troubles seeing that. I'm speaking directly to these individuals. Basically the new mainstream media. This is a program that happens. And people won't see that this change needs to happen internally. Who are you? Where did you come from? What is this black and white program? What are Caucasians? What are the Caucasus Mountains? What are the melanated people? What are the indigenous people? What are the aboriginal people? What is all this information in the creation myth stories, the mythologies of the Aztec and the Maya? What are the connections between the peoples of the Americas and the peoples of Africa? Where did all these names come? Where did the word Africa come from? What is the America? What do the Americas mean? What is the connection with all this money and this verbiage? The verbiage in like the birth certificate program and that relation to the monetary system. What is all this stuff? Why are these maps being adjusted to subliminally program kids to think certain ways? Just as easily as Beyonce is out there doing her thing on the stage, making little girls think certain ways and act certain ways and think a particular way about beauty and the divine feminine and humanity. Just as easily as that is happening, it's the same program that's going on with why they adjust these maps. Same story. Limits your thinking, limits your growth, limits your expansion, limits your connections, limits your ability to make a real connection to spirit. This all has a meaning. And meanwhile, every day, we don't make these connections. This is actual food on our kids' plates and lack of food on our kids' plates while they're playing Monopoly money. It's an illusion, making you believe in their illusion. While our brothers and sisters, our cousins, aunts, nieces, nephews, uncles are all going to fight these wars, these people are playing around. Just playing. It's a game for them. And you want to be a part of that system? You want to expand it? That's a problem. This is not going to be, this change, this so-called truth and all this stuff, this time, this ain't going to be the same as before. It's too much information. People know too much. It's not going to be some regular ass shifting of consciousness. It's going to be everything. And some people are either going to figure it out or not. And if you're creating boxes for people to get in, get trapped in, powerless, fireless, if you're making all these boxes for people, I'm going to say something about them boxes. Because this system is about separating people and putting people in boxes so they don't make these connections. That's what the mainstream is based upon. And if you're just making another version of that, then I got a problem with that. I'm going to say something. What are these connections? Who are the people? What are you? Who are you? What does this stuff mean? What do these stories mean? Where did this stuff come from? What were the Americas before the Columbian era? What was Africa before it was colonized? What was the earth plane before it was colonized? Who were the people? What are those stories? What are these connections? These are those stories when people are asking, oh, what you can do. You don't really have to do anything until there's that moment when it comes up and you're like, oh, this is what I can do. That's the actual doing this. It's the stuff that you cannot do. That you can't not do. It's that stuff. You just gotta do it. I mean, it's just so obvious that you have to do it. If you're still like looking for other people to tell you what to do, then you got to work on your own fire. Take it one step at a time. Don't have any expectations or judgments about yourself. Be as open as you can with yourself and finding out who and what you are. And go along with it. Just go. Keep expanding. Get out of these boxes that these people are setting up for you. Because when that mainstream program starts to make their moves, then that's just going to be an extension. And then you're going to have to adjust to it. Because all these stories are adjusting just as much as the mainstream storyline adjusts to the consciousness of the people. The people have to adjust to the consciousness of the mainstream agenda. And people are adopting the consciousness of the mainstream agenda as their own. That is the box of control. Just like the flat earth community is a box of control when people take that level of consciousness as their own and say, this is it. You're just creating another box of limitation. Same as the New Age agenda and the secret space program and the aliens and all that other stuff. This is it. It's all about love and light. Alright. People gonna go through that and get stuck. Some people are gonna go through there and expand. It's up to the individual. So that was basically all I had to add on to that last video. yeah, so thank you for joining me. Till next time, peace, love, and harmony.